Okay.
This is not a drill. My name is Greta Thunberg. We are living in the beginning of a mass extinction. Our climate is breaking down. Children like me are giving up their education to protest. But we can still fix this. You can still fix this. To survive, we need to stop burning fossil fuels. But this alone will not be enough. Lots of solutions are talked about, but what about the solution that is right in front of us? I'll let my friend George explain.
There is a magic machine that sucks carbon out of the air, costs very little, and builds itself. It's called a tree. A tree is an example of a natural climate solution. Mangroves, peat bogs, jungles, marshes, seabeds, kelp forests, swamps, coral reefs, they take carbon out of the air and lock it away. Nature is a tool we can use to repair our broken climate. These natural climate solutions could make a massive difference.
Pretty cool, right?
But only if we also leave fossil fuels in the ground.
Here's the crazy part. Right now, we are ignoring them. We spend 1,000 times more on global fossil fuel subsidies than on natural-based solutions.
Natural climate solutions get just 2% of all the money used on tackling climate breakdown.
This is your money. It is your taxes and your savings.
Even more crazy, right now when we need nature the most, we're destroying it faster than ever.
Up to 200 species are going extinct every single day.
Much of the Arctic ice is gone. Most of our wild animals have gone. Much of our soil has gone.
So what should we do?
What should you do?
It's simple. We need to protect, restore, and fund. Protect. Tropical forests are being cut down at the rate of 30 football pitches a minute.
Where nature is doing something vital, we must protect it.
Restore. Much of our planet has been damaged.
But nature can regenerate, and we can help ecosystems bounce back.
Fund.
We need to stop funding things that destroy nature and pay for things that help it.
It is that simple. Protect, restore, fund.
This can happen everywhere. Many people have already begun using natural climate solutions. We need to do it on a massive scale.
You can be part of this.
Vote for people who defend nature.
Share this video. Talk about this.
All around the world, there are amazing movements fighting for nature. Join them.
Everything counts. What you do counts.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our final Climate Action Fortnight day. It's absolutely great to share with you this morning our last topics and our last activities. And today is all about energy. So, really pleased to welcome our two speakers today, and a little bit of information from our team and things that we're going to be wrapping up. So this morning we've got Alex Green from Ashton, and from one of the projects particular that maybe some of you have heard of, which is Less CO2. We've also got Days, who is a climate activist, and Days has sent us a video that's going to be sharing some of the ideas and thoughts, and then we're going to be sharing some ideas with our team around climate strike planning and what things you might want to do back in school. We've got a couple of activities today, which includes carbon footprinting of yourself and thinking about how you might host an in-strike activity in school. So some really great ideas to get you thinking today. So our first speaker today, I'm very pleased to welcome Alex Green. So Alex, I worked with for far too many years, I reckon. Alex works for Ashton, which is a national charity, and I'll kind of probably say no more because I'm sure Alex will introduce herself. So we'll hand over to Alex if that's okay. And hopefully that's working, Alex, from your side.
Yes, hello. I was just sharing some slides so you can see some pictures. Thank you, Lee. Really lovely to be here. It's great to be part of the Climate Action Fortnight here in Leicester, and what a pleasure to hear about all the brilliant things that are going on within Leicester schools, the activities that are happening in your schools, and then also the activities that are happening from your council to support you to do more. So my name's Alex Green and I'm from the Climate Solutions charity Ashton. We work with schools in lots of different ways. We've been running the Less CO2 programme for 7 years now, and many schools in Leicester have taken part in that already. But we are starting a new campaign this year, a really exciting new approach to tackling our climate emergency with schools as leaders in this. And so I'm going to share a bit about that today. Some of you already know about it because we've already had some schools from Leicester sign up to it, which is brilliant. But I'm going to just tell you a little bit more about it, how it works, what it's about, who's running it, and how you can get involved. So Let's Go Zero is supported by lots of different organisations. So all of the people that you work with in your different projects and programmes to be more sustainable. So Eco Schools and Sustrans and Soil Association, Global Action Plan and Fair Trade. We're all joining together, and WWF, everyone's joining together to create this big new campaign. And the campaign is designed to show that schools want to be the force for change. They want to be part of the solution to the climate emergency, and that they're standing with the students to take some climate action. So this campaign is for the schools. It's for the head teachers, the senior leaders and the governors of the schools to sign your school up to show how much action you want to take. And I'm really pleased, although we only launched it last week, we've already had 4 Leicester schools sign up to the campaign, so that's brilliant. And I can tell you that Leicester is second in our city's leaderboard already, and which really shows the enthusiasm and energy that goes on in Leicester for fighting this climate solution. So we've had these 4 schools sign up already, but we want more. We want lots and lots more. So we'd be delighted if you could all sign up, and I'm sure you'll be getting lots of information from Lee about how you can do that. So when schools sign up, they're saying 3 things. They're saying they want to be zero carbon by 2030, that they want to take action now, that they are taking action now, and that they want more help to do more. So I'll break that down a little bit. They want to be zero carbon by 2030. It's an aspiration. It's a goal. It's not a commitment, because we know it's so challenging. We know that schools have so many things to deal with and to look at to get to zero carbon by 2030. But we want to show the aspiration of these schools. And also it's about how we can work as schools, how we can work with that wider community to help everyone to be more climate active. So they say they're taking action now. Anything and everything that you're doing in your school counts towards it. We want to show people that schools are doing what they can now. And we know that for some schools that might be some small projects, and for some other schools that's all kinds of everything. They might have all the eco bling and everything, but we want to really show that no matter where you are on your journey, schools are doing what they can do. And then the third thing that schools are saying when they sign up is that they want to be part of the solution and work with government, work with local authorities, work with anyone who can help them to let them do more and let all schools do more. So it's that real combined forces, combined intelligence, combined experiences bringing together to get all schools on a level playing field and to get them all taking more action. So what is a zero carbon school? So we define it as a school that on its site and in its activities, it doesn't contribute to climate change through carbon emissions. So it doesn't just look at the energy use in the building. So you can see from this slide here, we look at energy, procurement, food, water, travel, waste and school grounds. So all of those areas of the school's footprint count towards its wider impact. We can't just say, well, we'll take all the energy use in the building away and then we're done. We need to look at all of it. So did you know that for a lot of schools, 40% of their carbon impact actually comes from what they buy from their procurement? Sometimes it's 20% can be from their travel, how staff and students are getting to school and back. So we need to look at all of these different areas to really get to zero for our schools. And you can see from this slide all the other lovely organisations that are doing brilliant things already. And we want more schools to do more of their programmes, more of their projects. It's not about creating new things and new schemes. It really is about just getting more schools taking more action. But having said it's not about new things, we are introducing, we hope that by probably February or March next year, we'll have an online action planning tool, which will help schools to just make better decisions about what they're going to do next. So it'll ask you some questions about what have you done already, what activities are you doing, maybe a bit about funding, maybe a bit about where you are. And then it will say, right, well, we think you should do these things next. And it'll give you a choice of different things you can choose from. And it will say how much they might cost, how much time they might take, but also what the carbon impact will be, so that schools can make really informed decisions and know that they can, get the most bang for their buck and really have their impact where they want to. The tool will be free, it'll be for anyone to use, and it'll be there just to help to make sure that we are taking as much action as we can. So on this final slide, there's the website, the letsgozero.org website, where schools can find out more and they can also sign up. You'll be also be able to see a list of all the schools that have signed up already. You can see who else is doing it. There's the email address, letsgozero@ashton.org, which you are able to use for any questions either about your school specifically or about anything that you want to know about how the campaign works and to get involved. And of course on Twitter, please do tweet away about the exciting campaign. So I'm now going to pass you back to Lee, and if you have any questions about the campaign, please do get in touch, and Lee can also give you lots of information about it.
Brilliant, thank you, Alex. Absolutely fantastic, great to see kind of which schools have been involved, which ones that I wasn't aware of actually, so that's really good news. So the 4 that we sort of had a chat before we went live, there's actually 2 more that I know are signing up hopefully today, so that'll be 6. So no competition there with other schools, but we definitely want to be number 1 on that list in Leicester. So yeah, absolutely brilliant to sort of find out a bit more about what schools have been doing. So that's absolutely brilliant, thank you. Fab, right, I'm just sharing back my screen and we will move on to our next speaker. But thank you very much, Alex, some really great ideas, and I'm sure we'll be coming back to chat again very soon. So our next speaker this morning is Days Agaji, who is a climate activist. Now Days can't join us live this morning, but she has sent a video which shares some of the ideas to get people thinking. So I'm going to put that one on next, and I'm just going to look at Mark and just check that the audio is working to give me a shout if it isn't. So I'll play our next video. I'll just need to wait for it to load.
The future is a choice now, right? It is still a choice now. There will come a moment extremely soon where the future is no longer a choice.
Before we go forward and start doing the concrete things that we have to do about energy and transport and replanting and all of that, then we, whoa, let's just take a pause. Let's just, pause for a minute and check how we're thinking about this. We learned that if you go at something with a sense of self-defeatism, that it's highly likely that you will be defeated. And at the same time, we understand that if we crawl into a little box of anger, despair, fear, doom and gloom, we're not going to do anything positive to change it.
I'm Days, I'm 20 and I'm a climate justice activist. I joined Extinction Rebellion in January 2019, and then after April, I became the XR Youth Regenerative Culture Coordinator. My friend told me about Extinction Rebellion as she went to a protest, and then we decided to go to a meeting, and that meeting made so much sense. It preached the urgency that I know is needed, and it was just feeling like you're not that crazy environmentalist, but just someone who just cares. You need the mix of love and rage, because you need that anger to keep you going and to fire you up, but you also need that softening, that empathy, that understanding. You feel the love in the atmosphere and the hope for a better future there, you know, and I feel like the media doesn't portray that as well as they really could. Although I love Extinction Rebellion so much, I hope that one day it doesn't have to exist. I hope that we get so far where the work that we do will become redundant. I remember I did a talk a couple months ago and someone called me an alarmist and said XR is an alarmist organisation and they try and make people scared. And it's not about making people scared, it's about telling people the truth and holding them in that truth, because if we just don't look at it, it doesn't mean it's going to go away. I'm pretty sure if you ask anyone in the global south who's like facing the consequences of climate change right now, they would not call us alarmists. So I think it's remembering like the privilege that we do have for being in the West, but also what we need to do, because we are the ones who are causing the issue. We need to do better and we need to help change the system. We have to understand we are just one part of this and we need to play our role. What is climate optimism and why is it so important?
Optimism can be often confused with happiness, and I think the difference with that is that the climate crisis isn't something to take lightly. Yes, you should be hopeful, but you can't sit back and relax and think it's all going to be okay, because there's a lot of work to be done and there's a lot of change that needs to happen. So this optimism should really be used as a mindset to frame your action, more so than to make you feel that relief or that comfort. It should still be taken with the most urgency.
When did you start taking on this optimistic approach?
After doing a lot of environmental research, you really start to feel the weight of it. I needed to feel this new motivation. I needed to keep going, and that's when I found this organisation, Global Optimism, which really used the same drive and purpose within their work. So Christiana Figueres, as well as Tom Rivett-Carnac, released this book called The Future We Choose. And in this book, they summarise this stubborn optimism where you can use this approach that is not soft, it's gritty. And this is just so effective and really kind of changed the way I thought about climate action and thought about the climate crisis in general. I found that it could reach so many more people, as well as engage so many more people, in the sense that ultimately we're all humans on a planet and we want a better future for our families, our children, and that's where this kind of optimistic approach comes in.
And more recently, I worked with Christiana at the United Nations running the secret strategic campaign to achieve the Paris Agreement.
Well, can we start with optimism? We have learned over the past few years that optimism is a very important component when you are facing any challenge. And if I look back, the first time that I realized that was 2010, when I was a very freshly named executive secretary of the Climate Change Convention. And I went to my very first press conference and I was asked, Ms. Figueres, given the fact that just 6 months ago, the climate negotiations suffered their greatest failure in Copenhagen, do you think that the world will ever be capable of coming together to a global agreement? And I said immediately, without even thinking about it, not in my lifetime. And that not in my lifetime, I think, was very reflective of the global mood. Well, when I heard myself say, not in my lifetime, I realized that that was an impossible standpoint from which to start the challenge.
And I mean, I have such a strong memory of that, of like that road to Paris where everybody thought that this was completely impossible. How we show up And the attitudes that we have towards this issue are going to make a fundamental difference in our ability to be successful.
It does take time to get to optimism, and I feel like it's such a journey. Like, for me, I always talk about it from it first started with a lot of grief, loss and anger, and then it went into the, you know, acknowledging my power within changing things. I feel like there's so much external pressure to know what you're doing, to know where you're going, to know how you can, you know, create financial security, and it just takes away from actually just being able to live life and do what you love. And we're seeing this all across university campuses. We're seeing this in schools, and especially now we're seeing it in very young kids as well. In primary schools, you're seeing people being diagnosed with depression and anxiety around what's going on. And I think people need to start recognizing what this is doing to young people's mental health. There are so many different types of regenerative cultures that will be largely affected about, you know, where you live in the world or what's your community like. But for my community, the first part of it is self-care. I think that's where Black Lives Matter has had this really special moment this year. It's by everyone having that time to really do that deep inner work on themselves. And I think it's something that I've just been lucky to start this quite early on in my life, where, like, as a young person, I feel like we don't have tunnel vision because we're so open to learning and being better versions of ourselves. And I think that a lot of older people need to break that tunnel and start seeing the world in, you know, all colours. People talk about, you know, people and the planet, but it is people and the planet and everything else that's living on this earth, and that's what we need to start doing. We need to start seeing things very holistically. To be honest, I do feel like this understanding comes from my own, like, you know, indigenous cultures. From I'm originally from Nigeria, my family's from Nigeria, and I've gained so much from the learning and teachings from my ancestors, and it's to see everything as a whole, and to see what part of the whole are you, and that's the, you know, the thing that I feel like in, you know, the Western Hemisphere is not done so well. You do have to understand that this is like a shared purpose that we all have. You know, and it's understanding that we're in this together. It's holding on to the fact that things can change, things have changed, and things will change. We all come from very different places and very different cultures and backgrounds, and once we start visioning together, we'll be so open to accepting so much, and, you know, not accepting the negatives in society, but accepting the positives, you know, and that's what optimism rallies around.
So some really, really powerful messages, I think, in Daisa's presentation. And although this last day we've talked about energy, I think energy, it's probably way much more than just energy, as we're finding that energy is one of those topics, but actually it interlinks into so many other things, really. So yeah, something really powerful there that we hope lots of people will share back in school and get people thinking. So you're now sort of thinking, well, what else can we do? What's our next steps? So one of the big things that we're encouraging schools to do, if not today, maybe another day, is thinking about doing an in-strike. So Dave's talked there about kind of taking action and that optimism. And one of the things that we've done for a number of years is we've run our Littlest campaign in Leicester, which we run with eco schools. And we just wanted to just share with you a few pictures of our campaigns, of what we've done, just to give you some ideas around maybe how you want to campaign. And it might be that if you're doing an in-strike at school, you're doing something at lunchtime, or you might want to be doing lessons. So we just wanted to share just a few pictures from some of our students that when they've done campaigns, and the kind of things that they've put on some of their banners and things. So these are around litter, but hopefully give you some ideas around some of the other things that students have thought about in schools. Some really great ideas, I think. So I'm just going to put a couple of these pictures up just while I'm talking. But you can see nothing too complicated, but just something really powerful and these are pictures that were taken a couple of years ago on our litter campaign, and you can just see kind of how effective they are at getting people to think. So it might be that you want to do something in school, and we think that would be a great idea to raise awareness. Obviously, we know at the moment that people can't go on strikes in town and things like we have done previously. I know some of our secondaries and some of our primary students have been on the Friday strikes in town, but it might be that you want to do something in school at the moment and take pictures, share that on social media, and some ideas to get you just thinking about what you might want to do. So I'm going to hand over to Mark to wrap up our final quiz week. So I'll hand over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, so this is our 10th day and 3 more questions to go with the other 9 days. So these questions are all about energy. Question 1, which country has the largest carbon footprint per person? Is it A, China, B, the UK, or C, Australia? And that question is per person. Question 2, which of these is a type of renewable energy? Is it coal? Is it A, coal? Is it B, nuclear? Or is it C, wind power? And question 3 is, what is the unit of energy? Is it A, kilowatts? Is it B, grams? Or is it C, hectares? So that was our last 3 questions. There's been 3 questions each day of our Climate Action Fortnight. If you have missed any of them, excuse me, you can find them all in our Climate Action Fortnight brochure. And if you don't have access to that, that is available on our website at schools.leicester.gov.uk/ecoschools. And there's a little link on there to the Climate Action Fortnight. Within the brochure, at the end, there is the full list of all the questions from each day. And there is a little link there as well, which will take you through to be able to submit your answers. And the school or the class with the most correct answers, and we'll draw it out of a hat if there's a draw, they're going to receive a prize. So yeah, get submitting. Some of those questions are fairly straightforward. Some of the questions you might have to research and find out the answers. But yeah, submit them and hopefully you can win a prize. I'll pass back over to Lee.
Brilliant, thanks, Mark. So that, if you like, is almost wrapping up our Climate Action Fortnight. So you might have watched a few of these, you might have watched all of them, and you kind of think, well, what do I do next? So there's a few ideas that you might want to do. You might want to write to local councillors and MPs and tell them about what you found out, and maybe tell them what you'd want them to do. So we think that's something really important about sharing what you found out and making other people aware. You might want to submit something to our newsletter or our webpage and share with other schools what you've been up to. You might want to plan your own in-strike. So we've talked a little bit about that today. Or you might want to make a short film or a video, which again, we can share on our social media about why you know that this is so important and share with other schools. So the very last slide for today is don't forget, keep in touch. If you want to find out about any of the speakers during the fortnight, just drop us a quick email. But we'd love to find out what you've been up to during the fortnight or even afterwards if you're watching these after. And by all means, do let us know what's happening. Use the hashtag #ClimateActionLE and we can find out what people are up to. But that's the end of our fortnight. We've had an absolutely brilliant time. We've had our Doc Media Centre newsroom. We've had our speakers every day. We've had lots of activities. We've had teach meets, staff training, and we really look forward to hopefully very soon being back in and visiting schools and find out about all the things that you've been up to. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful last day of Climate Action Fortnight, and we look forward to finding out about what you've been up to. Thanks very much. Bye now.